Welcome back to Euro Football Daily, and I know you guys were expecting stat water champions. However, we've had a few technical issues and fingers crossed they are fixed by next week. But anyway, today we'll be looking at 10 of the biggest frauds to have played the beautiful game. 10. Hulk. Now 31 years old, Hulk once had the potential for a majorly successful career, and in some way he has. He's currently earning 20 million euros a year and has featured for the Brazil national team 47 times. But whilst at the peak of his powers and playing for Porto, in 2012 he had the opportunity to join Premier League top dogs Chelsea for £38 million. Aged 25, he had a great record, scoring 78 times and bagging 60 assists in just 169 games for the Dragons. Typically, this is where a player would grasp the opportunity to transfer to one of the world's top sides, especially one that had just won the Champions League. Instead though, he joined Zenit St. Petersburg for 60 million euros. Since then, he has moved on to China and is now playing for Shanghai SIPG. And to his credit, over the last 10 years, he has a very impressive goal contribution record, either scoring or assisting 0.9 times a game, a better rate than the Brazilian Ronaldo had at Real Madrid. However, he was facing tougher opponents in Spain, whereas Hulk was playing against teams that weren't even worth his transfer value. Only 4 of the 16 teams in the Russian top division are worth over 60 million euros. Sorry Hulk, we're not buying it. And you were rubbish at the 2014 World Cup as well. 9. Rene Higuita. Colombian goalkeeper Higuita was nicknamed El Loco, the madman, for his entertaining and crazy style of keeping. He took penalties and free kicks regularly and scored 3 goals in 68 international appearances. However, he also knocked out his own side in the World Cup back in 1990, after dribbling to the halfway line against Cameroon and losing the ball to Roger Milla, who went on and scored. But that's not what he's known for. Instead, whilst playing against England in 1995, Higuita pulled off an outrageous clearance. After a loose cross was put into the box, the keeper leaped into the air and brought his feet up behind his head to clear the ball, like a scorpion's tail, creating the infamous scorpion kick. However, Rene's greatest moment isn't quite as great as it seems, as England had been ruled offside. The Colombian has even said had it not been for the linesman's flag, he would have never attempted it. I guess the madman still has some of his marbles. 8. Nigeria. The definition of a fraud is a person intending to deceive others, typically by unjustifiable claiming or being credited with accomplishments or qualities. And that's exactly what the Nigerian national team have done. In 1988, Nigeria were banned from all FIFA competitions for 2 years after finding 3 of their Olympic players were not the correct age. They realised this after comparing the birth dates of the players from a previous tournament and seeing they had changed. Not the smartest thing they could have done. And you would have thought they'd learn from it. However, in 2009, the biggest case of age fraud was discovered, as after FIFA announced its new measures to test the ages of players at the tournament, Nigeria dropped a total of 15 players from their squad. Several of the country's officials have even admitted their wrongdoing, and in 2010, the former head of the Nigerian Football Federation said in regards to age fraud that we always cheat, it's a fact. 7. Didier Baptiste. Some of you guys may recognise the name Didier Baptiste, as he was a character played by Tom Redhill in the British Sky One drama Dream Team. His backstory involved playing for AS Monaco and having to leave Harchester United after attempting to fix an important game. However, in 1999, whilst at Monaco in the show, Baptiste was seen telling Harchester's PR girl that he was aware of interest from a big club managed by a Frenchman. During this time, Liverpool were managed by Gerard Houllier and were looking for a promising right-back. When asked in the show if he was bound for Merseyside or Arsenal, Baptiste played it off with a cheeky smile. However, this fooled the entire press, with giants such as News of the World printing the story into its own paper with a supposed fee of £3.5 million and a move to Liverpool on the rise. Once the error was realised, the paper claimed it would undertake an urgent investigation into the matter. Baptiste, however, got his move to Harchester United and went on to appear in 44 games, scoring 5 goals in his 1 year there. Not bad for a fake footballer. 6. Dexter Rosales. Before Christian Pulisic became the USA's brightest young star, there was Dexter Rosales, a striker from Miami who spent his youth career in the famed academies at Ajax, River Plate and Valencia. Or did he? Despite that impressive CV, he struggled to find a permanent club as a senior pro, but was finally given a shot in 2012 when he secured a trial at Australian side Adelaide United. However, there was a slight problem. Dexter Rosales was made up. Adelaide director of football Michael Petrillo, who clearly had never heard of the phrase too good to be true, had already boasted to the media about the potential new signing, saying that the forward was paying for his own plane ticket to Australia for tryouts. But when the club tried to confirm his credentials, they quickly found that the player's story fell apart, with his documents containing obviously fake newspaper articles with fabricated quotes from Frank de Boer, and his highlights reel actually containing footage of Mario Rosales, an Argentinian who left Ajax in 2006. In the end, 442 uncovered the real Dexter, who turned out to be a part-time DJ from Florida called Dexter Rosales. On being rumbled, he told the magazine that he was still keen to take up his trial place at Adelaide, probably the least he deserves for some world-class bullshitting. 5. Carlos Kaiser. This story was suggested to us by @YojiTangos on Twitter, thank you very much, and it involves a player who was likened to Franz Beckenbauer when he was younger, but only for his looks, as it definitely wasn't for his ability. Carlos Kaiser started his career with Botafogo before moving to Flamengo, and in 1979 he impressed Mexican club Puebla during a training session, resulting in him signing for the club. However, it was just a taster of what was to come, as after 2 months he was released without playing a single match. He became a fast footballer, as in his words, he wanted to be a footballer but not want to play football. During the 1980s, Kaiser played for 7 different teams, but did not make one single competitive appearance, signing for Brazilian giants Fluminense and Vasco da Gama. The so-called striker got away with this by knowing the right people. He became friends with World Cup winner Carlos Alberto Torres, along with other well-known Brazilian footballers, and created a big network of contacts in case he ever needed a transfer. He also became good friends with journalists around the country, who would substantiate his story whilst Kaiser himself faked injuries to get out of training sessions. He even went as far as to start a fight with a football fan so he'd be sent off before coming on. 4. Ali Dyer. How could we make a list of 10 footballers who are frauds and not include Ali Dyer? It would be like Chris Hamill without his hair dust. After playing in the lower leagues of Germany and France, and having already failed trials at Gillingham and Bournemouth, Ali Dyer decided to shoot his shot, and somehow it worked. In 1996, Ali got a university friend to call then Southampton manager Graham Souness, claiming to be Ballon d'Or winner and current president of Liberia, George Weah. In the phone call, Weah told Souness Dyer was his cousin, had played for PSG and featured for his national team 13 times, none of which was true, but suggested he should give him a shot at the Saints, resulting in the Scotsman giving the forward a 1-month trial. The Senegalese only featured once for Southampton, coming on in the 32nd minute for Matt Le Tissier, but was substituted 53 minutes later, with Le Tissier claiming he was running around the pitch like he was Bambi on ice. Unsurprisingly, Dyer was released just 14 days into his contract, and briefly featured for non-league side Gateshead. His greatest footballing achievement since was being ranked first in the top 50 worst footballers ever. But don't worry Ali, you're still an FD legend, even if you are shit. 3. The Togo national team. It's the dream of every playground footballer to turn out for their country, but most people have given up on the idea by the time they leave school. However, 18 Chancellors got more inventive in 2010 when they managed to convince the Barani FA that they were the national team of Togo and set up a friendly against the Persian Gulf country, flying 3,500 miles to Rifa for the game. Unsurprisingly, Bahrain battered them 3-0, with several players commenting on the poor quality of the nation which produced Emmanuel Adebayor, and noting that their opponents struggled to complete the full 90 minutes. The mistake eventually became clear when authorities compared the squad list they had been sent before the game to the 18-man team sheet submitted on the day of the match, and discovered the names were all different. An investigation traced the fraud to ex-national team coach Tichenil Bana, who had previously taken another fake Togolese team to a tournament in Egypt, and 2 members of Togo's Soccer Federation were found to have collaborated in the scheme in exchange for cash from an agent in Singapore. They went to prison and Bana was given a 3-year ban from the sport. 2. Masal Bugduv. Creating a list of the world's 50 hottest young footballing talents can be hard, but usually you'll get there, even if you have to include a few random people. However, one journalist decided to skip researching youngsters, and so Masal Bugduv was born. With a made-up backstory describing a teenage protege on a few websites, an article was released by The Times titled Football's Top 50 Rising Stars. The entry read 30 Masal Bugduv, Moldova's finest. The 16-year-old attacker has been strongly linked with a move to Arsenal, work permit permitting. Obviously, this was a load of bullshit, and the internet quickly took apart the story, with The Times later removing him from their list and publishing a clarification. In 2017, it was later revealed that Irish journalist Dexter Rosales was the creator of Masal Bugduv, stating he did it as a social experiment due to being frustrated by having to go through ridiculous rumours about football transfers. But if you want to know more about transfers, why not check out Transfer Talk on Football Daily. 1. Pele. If you're a true fan of us, you always knew who would be at number 1. It had to be the fraudster himself, the man who is considered the greatest player ever for winning 3 World Cups and not doing much else. It's Pele. The Brazilian claims to have scored 1,283 goals in 1,363 games, which quite frankly is unbelievable, but it's all bullshit. 526 of his goals came in unofficial friendlies and tour games, even counting games when he featured for the 6th Coast Guard. He officially scored 757 goals in 812 games. However, this was in a Brazilian league which was lacking in quality. He once scored 8 times against Botafogo. No, not the ones from Rio, but a 4th tier side with the same name. They were basically a Sunday League team. The Brazilian National League didn't exist until 1971, meaning before Santos played in the Campeonato Paulista, a regional tournament, so 469 of Pele's strikes came against weak opponents. In fact, when he did play in a genuine top flight, he managed just 34 goals in 84 games, a strike rate of 0.4 a game. I'm pretty sure that settles it. So those were our 10 biggest frauds in football. What did you guys think of them, and do you agree or disagree? Let me know in the comments below. Again, we're so sorry that Stat Wars isn't out this Saturday. It will definitely be out next Saturday. Fingers crossed the hard drive is fixed. But why not check out last week's Stat Wars? It is on screen right now. And as always, guys, don't forget to like, subscribe. Hey. Boom! Boom!